always. The Sandy Ferguson quote, "If you embrace Hawthorn, Hawthorn will embrace you," has never been more appropriate as we pay tribute to another great servant of our club. Another man that fully embraced Hawthorn, and one we could almost forgive for not being a one-club player. Almost. In the last few weeks, Hawthorn farewelled one of its much-loved players, playing his last game against Richmond, his 250th game for Hawthorn and 407th game in the AFL. Veteran Shaun Burgoyne called time on a storied AFL career. Among a list as long as your arm of achievements, he's one of only 5 AFL-VFL footballers to surpass the astonishing 400-game milestone, and the very first Indigenous player to reach that accolade. Let's take a look now at the amazing career of a man simply known as Silk. And tonight we are delighted to be able to have the 4-time Premiership hero to join us from Adelaide. Here he is, the man of the moment, Shaun Burgoyne. Silk, welcome.
Thanks, Harv. Thanks for having me.
Where do we start, mate? Seriously, where do we start with you? Port Adelaide in 2000, 157 games for them, 250 for the mighty brown and gold, 407 total, 4 flags, 21 seasons, 31 finals. It's getting ridiculous. Where do you start when you talk about your career?
Oh, well, yeah, it's been a long ride. I never thought I'd play for that long. I was very lucky to get drafted to Port Adelaide and stay at home when a lot of kids put themselves in the draft and have to move across the country. And, once I got started, I just loved footy, obviously playing AFL. And then, the second half of my career at Hawthorn was amazing. It's something that I didn't predict that would happen. Although when I first met Clarko, he did say, if you choose to come to Hawthorn, we'll have a crack at multiple premierships, and we want you to be a part of that journey. And it came true. But yeah, I couldn't have scripted the second half of my career any better.
Hey, tell me, there is a little secret going around that the absolute magic to your 407 games is a pregnancy pillow. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. It is. I love my pregnancy pillow. It's longer than me. I cuddle it. I can only get to sleep in one position, and I have to cuddle the pillow in the right way. And it served me wonders, that thing.
All the kids out there, pregnancy pillow is the key to longevity in the game. That's unbelievable. So, are there any other routines or superstitions or preparation things you had to get done before game day?
Yeah, I used to be really superstitious and have a lot of things I used to follow. During the week and all those different things. But then as my kids started coming into the world, crying, being sick, so that put an end to my routines. A lot of them, especially the superstitious ones, it just became happy kids, and then it became, happy preparation for a game. But the one that I kept was basically making a honey sandwich the day of a game and making a takeaway coffee. And it became such a ritual in my family household that everyone started gathering around the kitchen bench when I'd make a honey sandwich. That's a funny one as well.
I think you're holding out on us. I think I've heard there's another story that you need to share with us, something about a plastic toy shark.
Oh, yeah. I don't know where you're getting your info from, but yes, there was a toy shark. I got it. One of my kids ate a Kinder Surprise once, and I got a toy shark about this big, and I had it in a certain spot in my car. No one was allowed to touch it or move it. But every time my kids would jump in the car, they would touch the shark and break it. So I'd have to pull over the car to the side of the road, fix it, put it back together, and put it in its spot. But you've got some good info there.
You also, with your kids, were they the reason you stopped eating lollies and chocolate about 6 years ago? And how'd that come about and how'd it go?
No, you can. my kids love their chocolate and lollies. You could probably thank Hodgie for that one. We were on the bus to the airport, and Hodgie was just sitting next to him, and he'd mentioned that he was going to stop eating chocolate and lollies, and I was like, oh well, if you're going to do it, I'll do it. And I thought I thought he was going to do that for a long period of time. So I thought, if it's good enough for Hodgie, it's good enough for me. So I stopped that day, and about 3 or 4 weeks later, I was feeling the pinch a bit, and I said to Hodgie at the club, how's that chocolate and lolly thing going? And he goes, what are you talking about? I said, haven't you stopped? He goes, nah, that was only for the day. He did it for the day, and I'd done it for like 4 or 5 weeks or whatever it was. And I thought, well, why not? I've come this far, keep going. Yeah, so it's 6 or 7 years now.
The only two colours that matter are brown and gold, as you well know after 250 games, Silk. And you've got some iconic moments throughout the history of the Hawthorn Footy Club, but I want to take you back to the prelim in 2013 against Geelong when you've kicked the goal and put the arms out. Where does that rank in your iconic moments throughout your career?
Yeah, it was a pretty good one, eh? It's obviously become, in Hawthorn people, every Hawthorn fan I talk to, they seem to be, everyone was at that game. I don't know what the crowd capacity was, but every Hawthorn fan was there, and it was a quite surreal moment, to be honest. I just remember that we kept getting the ball inside 50, and we just weren't quite converting enough. And I kicked that goal, and lucky it went through because there was still another 5 minutes to play as well. So Geelong were going to get their chances to have a crack at winning the game as well. But yeah, it was an unreal feeling. The crowd, when they roar, just gives you a little bit of bit more adrenaline, and the goosebumps stand up. But yeah, it was probably my most important goal I've ever kicked.
And it was a famous moment for all Hawks fans. They'll remember that forever. And what about your last game a couple of weeks ago? What was it like playing that, knowing it was going to be your last game, and then that last moment where you dive for the ball to touch it over the line and get a victory for the Hawks? Tell us about that day.
Yeah, the build-up was it was quite surreal, to be honest. I knew that the day was coming, but living through it was a bit emotional through the whole week. There was a bit of a roller coaster ride where 1 minute I was emotional, the next minute I was fine. And once we got to the game and the ball bounced, it was just another game. And then we were playing some pretty good footy apart from that last 6 or 7 minutes. And you talk about that last dive. I dived for the ball, obviously touched it, but the ball already crossed the line, and I hurt my shoulder. It's actually really sore still, so I've had to go get scans on it and just double check that I actually haven't torn anything in there, but it's taking a lot of time to heal.
What are you going to do next? What's up next for the family? You've got a role at Port Adelaide, but what's going to be happening with the Burgoynes?
Yeah, I've been very lucky to get a role with Port Adelaide. We obviously decided it was time to move back and be closer to family, so we'll transition probably around Christmas time with everything. And the kids have got to start new schools, new footy teams, netball teams, basketball teams, but I'm very lucky. So with the way the world's going with COVID, it's been quite hard to see family, and we've had an unbelievable ride. A 3-year stay in Melbourne's turned to be 12 years, so we've been quite lucky there half, but it's time to go back home.
Now, my sources tell me, Shaun, that you are getting into the wine business. This bottle of wine has your name on it. Aren't you the maker of this?
I'm not quite the maker. Obviously, a good Hawthorn man in Richie Vandenberg Wines. Decided to collaborate with him to make a special limited edition wine for my 400th, and it smells pretty good. It tastes pretty good too. So, he's done a really good job. So I think Hawthorn fans have seen that on sale, but he's done a real good job, Vanders has.
Well, if you don't mind, I think we should all get a bottle of this fine red wine. You can see the details on the screen if you'd like to purchase your very own. And Silk has actually signed a few bottles. So if you purchase a dozen, you get your own signed bottle thrown in. Silk, it's been an absolute pleasure being a part of your journey here in the Brown and Gold, mate. It's great to have you a part of our history of our club. I'm sure you've got some people you'd like to thank for their part along the way.
No worries there. Thanks, Half. There's obviously a lot of people I'd like to thank. I've said a few over the past few weeks, but first and foremost, thank you to the Hawthorn Footy Club for getting me over into end of 2009, 2010. Peter Bequee was the doctor who looked at my scans of my knee and gave me the okay to come across. So big thank you to Peter. Obviously, all the all the Hawthorn medical staff, fitness staff, coaching staff who obviously given me advice and helped me along the way. The medical staff are, I think, the best in the business. It's definitely helped save my career. So thank you to you guys, Bart. You've been huge. Michael McDeesey, you've been huge. The players. Thank you to all the players. There's been plenty that come and go over the years, but thank you to play with the calibre of some of the greats and some of the guys who just come in and out for a year or two here and there. Those friendships and bonds will last forever. So thank you to the players. The Hawthorn fans, thank you. From when I first came across, you guys accepted me into the Hawthorn family. Accepted my wife and kids as well, and I felt nothing but love and appreciation from all of you guys. So thank you. To obviously Port Adelaide as well. They obviously drafted me and nurtured me for 9 years, and the players, coaching staff, medical staff there as well. Thank you. Obviously to my family, my parents, and obviously put me on the straight and narrow as a kid. Thank you. My in-laws, Greg and Julie, and Rachel and Luke, and Aaron and Tracy for always coming over and supporting us, giving us all the support we've needed over the entire years. And, that means a lot to us. And lastly, thank you to my wife, Amy, and my kids. They're the reason why I play footy, to be a good dad and a good husband. And they've been a part of the journey, and they've kept me going. Even this year it was hard to tell my kids that I was going to wind up and retire. They wanted me to keep going, but yeah, it's great that we've been able to create some memories with those guys, and hopefully they pass those down to their kids and their grandkids at some stage as well. So thank you to Amy and my kids, and thank you to everyone else.
A big support cast for a big star. We appreciate everything you've done, mate. Congratulations on everything you've achieved. Good luck in the future, and we'll raise a glass, ladies and gentlemen, to Shaun Burgoyne.